Hi, I'm Melinda Emerson, Small Biz Lady, America's #1 small business expert, and I would like to welcome you to the Small Biz Chat podcast. Today's show is all about taking a different look at the pandemic. We're going to look at it as a blessing. We're also going to talk about how to build strong sales systems in your business, and we're going to discuss how to get rid of innovation deserts. My guests tonight have some amazing insight to share. If you've been struggling with how the pandemic has changed your business, I've got some inspiration for you. If you're struggling with sales conversions on your website, the funnel doctor's in the house. He's going to give us some insight on how to get better conversions. And if you're trying to start a business on a ramen noodle budget, I've got the lady who designed the whole plan to do that. And she's with us here tonight. And she's going to help you learn how to run your business with minimal resources. The Small Biz Chat podcast is a peer-to-peer interview show where we're giving people invaluable insights. The mission of Small Biz Chat is to end small business failure. Now, we broadcast live on my Small Biz Lady Facebook fan page, as well as my YouTube channel. And you know, we're always streaming on Twitter because you know I love my Twitter peeps. Now, the goal of the Small Biz Chat podcast is to give our small business audience an opportunity to hear sage advice from various different perspectives, all with the goal to take your business to the next level. Tonight's guests are serial entrepreneur Eric Brown. He's got a great recovery story to share, and we'll talk to Ryan McCrary, and he's going to help us understand direct marketing and sales funnels and all that jazz. And we're going to close out with Felecia Hatcher, and she's going to talk to us about her quest to rid the world of innovation deserts. Now, let me introduce my first guest, serial entrepreneur Eric Brown. He is CEO of Urbane Apartments located in the Detroit suburbs. He's a pioneer in digital marketing and an expert in urban housing development. He has built and developed over 16,000 market rate apartments on a national scale. He founded Urbane Apartments in 2000. He oversees new business, general operations, marketing, and branding at the company. And he has long been recognized in the multifamily housing industry as a vanguard and cutting-edge social media marketer. Thank you so much, Eric, for being here with me today. I have known you for so long, so it's such a treat to have an opportunity to talk to you on the show. Now, I know that the pandemic has been rough for people. There certainly were winners and there were losers, but everybody had to change. It was almost like everybody had to go back to being a startup, frankly. Tell me about your business and you know how the pandemic sort of like rocked you guys.
So, mid-March of last year, when this all started to set in and we were closed. Michigan basically closed up shop. And we somewhat had a bit of an advantage because we had been doing go solo apartment tours for about 10 or 12 years. And when we first started those, we were actually, it was looked at as a negative customer experience. It actually wasn't. But so we were able to pretty quickly shift into gear and do that. So that helped us a lot. We already had the infrastructure in place at our properties to be able to do that. And it actually worked out fairly well for us.
But you had a personal impact with the pandemic, right? I mean, you said that while, business did okay, but you personally were impacted by the pandemic.
I did. Yeah. So, this is our 22nd year in business, and things that I used to be worried about, things like, making sure we had enough capital and we extended our runway and all those things. What was a really just a moving experience for me during this pandemic was relevancy, right? I kind of woke up one day, and while there was a time when we were all that in a bag of chips, at least here locally, and we lost a particular contract, and I kind of didn't think that much about it. And then when we lost 3 more, I woke up, and I woke up really fast, and I looked around and I started to panic in a way. When you've sort of been like way out in front for a long time, and then there's a new kid on the block. It was a shock, honestly. And we quickly retooled and did a lot of things we needed to do. And I guess the word for me would be humility. I got a really good dose of humility, and I think we came out much stronger for it.
Well, I mean, but the pandemic has had a lot of effects on a lot of different kind of businesses. And so I wanted to kind of pivot into, thank goodness, like, you were able to kind of quickly recover, but you had a very significant business to begin with. But there were a lot of smaller businesses that just, I mean, we probably lost 40% of the African-American businesses in the US, and lots of other small solopreneurs that didn't qualify for PPP loans and all this stuff because they didn't have employees. So,
Sure.
How do you think the pandemic has overall affected America's small businesses? I mean, everybody has had to retool, but what about everyone else?
So I think that the word that comes to mind for me is I feel like society in general has been scarred from this. And we all sort of have our own bag of crazy we carry around, but that seems to have expanded. It expanded with our employees. It expanded with our partners, which was a whole different thing to manage. I mean, suddenly their hair's on fire every day. And, there were times we didn't know, well, is everyone going to stop paying rent? And, we've got 22 apartment communities. And if people stopped paying rent, we could be upside down in 45 to 60 days. Fortunately, that did not happen. And people still paid their rent like they're supposed to. So a lot of that stuff went on like it was supposed to go. But I guess, we're not, I think we don't like uncertainty. And at the same time, as you well know, opportunity is always in uncertainty. So if you can just kind of calm yourself down, stay centered and grounded. And I really learned to see what is, as opposed to what my perception. We all want it to be something, and sometimes we want it to be something it is not. And so I feel like the quicker that for me and our company and our business that I just looked at it for what it is, I was able to start to create a pretty quick recovery. And I don't want to make it a gloom and doom. It wasn't like we were close to the edge, but a chunk of our business went away, and I was ignoring it. Like, that just happened. Well, no, it happened for a reason. And so.
Well, how do you think? I mean, I do think this pandemic has created a lot of opportunity. I mean, certainly people who were already positioned online, they won in the pandemic. It definitely, and and I'm sure, my next guest is going to talk all about that. But I think that, people were trying to still, I feel like there's still people trying to figure out their digital pivot. Like, I think there are people that started it. They might've got, they finally got their Shopify store going, what I mean? But I feel like people are still kind of trying to understand that and still trying to understand online marketing. And it's a lot more complicated. I mean, I've also been in business for 22 years, and I feel like online marketing has gotten way more complicated. It used to be like you needed a website, you needed a blog, like you needed to be putting out content some kind of way. But now it's way more. You got to understand a whole bunch of other stuff.
Something that happened to us locally is other apartment operators came to a very quick conclusion. They can't do business like they used to. So the big guns, the apartments.com as an example, they came in and immediately created a media package so that any average Joe apartment guy could suddenly have digital marketing plan. They could have virtual tours, and they put them on the map with Google. And so we enjoyed 18 to 20 years of being number one if you typed in Apartments Royal Oak, or we just commanded that. And suddenly that went away. And it took me more than a minute to get, when the ILSs come in to do that, they buy up all the AdWords. And so we just got pushed way, way down. And it took me probably 2 quarters to go, like, what's going on here? And part of that is we were all going, what's going on? We're watching the news every day, and I wasn't really paying that close attention to my business, to be honest with you. I was trying to deal with just personal stuff going on and what's going on. But once I sort of figured that out, we ended up having to join the forces. We haven't ever used paid advertising really since we started in business until the last year. So I had to jump on to the apartments.com bandwagon. Now, in areas where, because we're in about 6 or 7 small towns in Southeast Michigan, that wasn't true in all of them, but about 4 of them, we just sort of got pushed down, apartments.com, and I'm just using them as an example. It's Zillow, all of them did that. They just pushed their digital net further upstream. And you just couldn't compete against that.
And it became a war. So it became a war of the online advertising, and it was like who got there, who spent the most money, and that kind of stuff. And that was something you hadn't had to deal with. And that's really interesting. I think there's a lot of people who got affected in a similar way. So I guess my question for you though is, Eric, so before the pandemic, what kept you up at night? And since the pandemic, what keeps you up at night? Because I'm curious what the difference is, frankly.
So in the beginning and even in the middle, I was always worried about capital, running out of money. You run out of money, end of game.
Right.
And I hear all the time, business gurus say, oh, just make mistakes faster. Well, there's certainly truth in that. You can make mistakes in about as exact proportion as you have enough capital.
Right.
So if you're and I've made some mistakes throughout my career that have 5 zeros behind them.
Sure.
And so it would take a while to dig out to that. But what I always focused on, and I read an article a long time ago about extend your runway. So I would think about, okay, I've got 60 days of capital here. I got 90 days of capital, and then so on and so forth. So, but at some point we sort of had enough working capital, because I did not read the financing piece of your book when I started my business. And we just started on a shoestring. I get that's not the way to do it. That's just what we did. But now, what I try not to be up at night, honestly. I'm post 60 years old, and I try to just rest in that there's universal support, not to get too metaphysical, but what I think about is this really struck me, this whole humility thing, and that you've got to stay on top of your brand relevance. And so that's what I think about a lot. And we're bringing in a younger force in our office. We just hired one very, very bright guy that we're gonna make him a partner at some point. But he just got fresh ideas and fresh energy. And it occurred to me, maybe I need to kind of step out of the way a little bit. I always would sort of land blast the guys who, well, that's the way we've always done it. But then when I looked at my own actions, I'm going, that's the way we've always done it. And when something has worked for a long time, a couple decades, And then it isn't only my own self I had to deal with that. I had to talk through this with my partners. Like one of our partners, well, two of my partners in the real estate are in their mid 80s.
Oh, wow.
So trying to talk to those guys about what they're like, what do you mean we need to spend money with apartments.com? We've never done that.
Right.
And, to a small property, that can be $2,000 to $5,000 a month.
Sure.
That's $60,000 a year.
Right.
And so
that's a person. That's real money. No, I get it.
And it just took us longer than it should have to react. I'm much more awake now, or I feel like I am.
I love it. So after 22 years in business with multiple multi-million-dollar companies, some you sold and your main company that you still run, what do you think have been your keys to success?
Focus. I think, I just think you have to stay focused every day, and you have to be very clear about we all have the same amount of time. What am I going to do today? And it can be very easy to procrastinate. Some things are more fun to work on than others. And but it's really focus.
I like that. So I keep hearing a lot about people struggling to find employees, particularly hourly wage employees, since there's been so many stimulus packages. Are you experiencing that in the Detroit area?
Absolutely, hands down. Every small business that I see, there's a sign in the window. And, some of my local business friends and acquaintances, their ability to increase their sales is limited by the amount of staff that they can garner.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, I've always thought that from a development standpoint, a great development, capital seems to find it for whatever reason. I don't know why that is, but it just capital seems to find the right development. And I also feel like during this pandemic, we've actually been blessed to find some of the best employees we've ever had.
So, there's been some amazing people, who suddenly are on the market. So no, that's definitely true.
So I've seen that across the board. And so, but yeah, I think, depending on where you're, at what level you're hiring at, it certainly, as the service industry, those guys are having a tough time.
I believe it. Well, listen, when we come right back, we're going to talk more with Eric Brown, who's in here dropping knowledge about how to leverage what's going on post-pandemic to take your business to new heights. You're watching the Small Biz Chat podcast, and we'll be right back.
People always ask me, how can I become my own boss? With multiple features in the New York Times, Forbes, and on ABC News as America's #1 small business expert, I know a thing or two about how to do it. Hi, I'm Melinda Emerson, Small Biz Lady, and I've been coaching small business owners since 2008. That's right, I've been helping small business owners plan for success since the last recession, and I'm still here reaching over 3 million small business owners a week online. I've spent the last 12 years compiling exactly what I did to become my own boss. I even broke it down into a 6-step system in my best-selling book, Become Your Own Boss in 12 Months. Over 100,000 people in multiple languages around the world have this book, and due to the pandemic, I know people need help. If you're ready to transition successfully from being an employee into your own business, I'm here to help. I'm giving away 1,000 copies of Become Your Own Boss in 12 Months for free. All you need to do is pay for shipping. That's right, I'm giving away 1,000 copies for free. If you've always wanted to start your dream business, let me give you a roadmap to success. This offer will only be available while supplies last, and when they're gone, they're gone. Click on the button to grab your copy today.
Welcome back to the Small Biz Chat Live. I'm Melinda Emerson here with my guest, Eric Brown, who is dropping knowledge for us. We're going to talk about how to be better in your business post-pandemic. Eric, welcome back.
Thank you.
So talk to me about when you think about the pandemic, how do you think it has changed you personally the most?
So, not to repeat myself, but I really feel like I've become much more grounded. We all had a lot of time or more time, which is interesting. I would sometimes go, oh, if I just had some more time to do this or that. Then suddenly when I had it, I don't know if I use it in a wise way or not a wise way. But I feel like we got our mojo on again. And things that I hadn't thought about for like a long time. I mean, we had a new website built, and we're sort of doing some rebranding and just things that and again, I have had to consciously pull myself back from that, because I would go, oh no, well, we've always used that color. And they're like, well, that's not the color you should be using today. And if we are hiring professional creatives to help us, we have to be cognizant of let let them do what they do, or at least consider what they do. And so that's been a big learning curve for me.
Mm-hmm.
And you can teach old dogs new tricks.
You should get a t-shirt that says that. So I know that you are not formally educated, but I was curious as to whether or not you participated in any sort of like training programs or mentorship programs or anything like that throughout your years that you've been in business.
Yeah, so I've always been a very avid reader, so I've read. I've spent a lot of time and resources on personal development programs throughout my career. And then probably a really significant thing that helped me was I was in Arizona for about 3 years doing some work out there. And I was able to spend a lot of time with Robert Kiyosaki from Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I was able to be on his radio show several times, and I actually managed a resort for he and Kim. And so I just that was like the first business book I ever read when I was a young guy. And so he certainly has a lot of different ideas. He isn't for everybody, but I learned a lot. I really learned a lot from the guy.
That's interesting. So I know that you have this system that you have called the 6 top to-do priorities each day. Talk to us about how you developed that and how you implement it.
Well, actually, that came right out of your book from, I don't recall the gentleman that he's quoted in your book, but it sort of simplifies everything for me in that I just need to pick 6 things that I need to work on. And I keep that list, and things move up and they move down, and because it has to be fluid. But I feel like it's very easy to drift off. Take some very simple thing, billings, right? If we
Sure.
don't get invoicing out on the 1st to the 3rd, by the 20th, we have a problem.
Sure.
And that's a self-created problem. And it's many of our problems, we want to work on new problems, not the same old ones over and over. And so that helps keep me focused. And it's, you pick 6 things. And sometimes I don't get past the first one, but at least they're on there and you can, move them around.
Right. You can come back to the list. And then what is the best business advice you ever got?
The best business advice. I would say that is to watch the money. Just
I think
watch
that's
the money.
I think that's as good advice as any I've ever heard. Thank you so much, Eric, for being with me. But don't go away. We're going to bring you back for our panel at the end of the show. But thank you so much for being here. I really always appreciate your honesty and insight. And we're going to talk a little bit more. But next up, we're going to bring Ryan McCrary around. He is the funnel doctor, and he's going to talk to us about all things online marketing and sales funnels. You're watching the Small Biz Chat live, and we will be right back.
Is now the right time to start a business? This is the second most frequently asked question people always ask me, along with how can I become my own boss? And they aren't wrong for asking, because right now, these are the two most important questions anyone whose job security has been recently impacted is wondering. Hi, I'm Melinda Emerson, better known as Small Biz Lady. And when it comes to small business success, I've been featured multiple times on MSNBC and CNBC and ABC News as America's #1 small business expert. Since the last recession in 2008, I have helped many small business owners plan for success, and I'm still here, reaching 3 million entrepreneurs each week online. I've created a system that will teach you exactly how to become your own boss. I broke it all down into a 6-step system in my best-selling book, Become Your Own Boss in 12 Months. It's the exact roadmap to help you successfully transition from having a job to being your own boss. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, many folks are suffering, and I want to do my part to help. I'm giving away 1,000 copies of my book for free. All you need to do is cover the shipping. If you have always wanted to start your dream business, let me give you a roadmap to success. Take advantage of my free offer while supplies last. Click the button below to grab yours before they're all gone.
Welcome back to the Small Biz Chat podcast. I'm Melinda Emerson, the Small Biz Lady, and we're broadcasting live from my Small Biz Lady fan page, my LinkedIn Live, as well as my YouTube channel. And we're always on Twitter. I love my Twitter folks. Now, my next guest is Ryan McCrary, and he's known as the Funnel Doctor. He is a seasoned digital marketer and speaker who loves to share his knowledge on how to build strong sales systems in small businesses. His passion lies in helping entrepreneurs and authors get their message and product in front of more people. Ryan's digital marketing agency specializes in online sales funnels that generate massive ROI. All right. The Funnel Doctor is in the house. Ryan, welcome to Small Biz Chat Live.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm really excited to have you because we just heard about how hard it is to be battling with these folks over these keywords and buying ads. So I want to talk to somebody who specializes in this. So first of all, tell me how you got your nickname, the Funnel Doctor. Like, what is your background? How did you come to give yourself that superhero moniker, if you will?
Well, originally in business, my original business was a financial information product business. So it was not an agency. It was not digital marketing. I sold online courses. I wrote a book, some coaching, because my professional background is actually in finance. I had my securities licenses. I worked in corporate America for many years. But when I started my own business, originally, like I said, it was just selling financial information products. But I had to learn how to market and sell online, because I didn't have my corporate job anymore. I didn't have those benefits anymore. So I had to really learn how to actually have consistent, predictable revenue for my business as an entrepreneur. So I literally dove headfirst into learning everything I could about online marketing, taking trainings, going to conferences, reading a lot of books from some of the big marketing gurus that many of us know today. And in the midst of all that, I got a real knack for that. I built a lot of relationships with a lot of entrepreneurs, and I started it with building my own funnels, running my own ads. And people would say, like, hey, I saw your ads on Facebook, Instagram. I see your website, your landing page, kind of who did it. Can I hire the person? And I said, it was actually me. So about 3 years ago, I decided to actually build an actual agency and people would have funnel issues. They would just like, go to Ryan. Go to Ryan if you have any funnel issues or with certain platform and stuff like that. So I got coined as, quote unquote, the funnel doctor by being able to fix any problems someone would have with their funnel.
All right. Well, that's a big brand promise right there. Fixing any problem people have with their funnel. I might take you up on that. Okay. So tell me, what is the actual definition of a sales funnel?
So sales funnel is just a step-by-step process for you to sell your products and services. Some people may also refer to it as like the customer journey, but a lot of entrepreneurs don't actually think of like the system that they should have for their business. So, whether you're capturing leads and you actually turn them into customers, that's a system. I know when I started my business, I was just passionate about what I did. I knew I had a service or a product that I wanted to give to out in the marketplace, but I didn't think of it in like a system or a systematic way or lead capture and how to bring people through like an actual journey. So like I said, it's basically just a step-by-step process that you bring customers into to sell your products and services.
Mm-hmm. So it seems like small businesses need to learn how to sell online no matter what they sell, because this pandemic has been like, it doesn't matter what you do, your customers have to find you somehow online. Why is it so urgent?
Well, I personally think it was urgent much before COVID, and people knew it was urgent and they did what they could to try to do stuff online. But with COVID, it now became mandatory. Now I know things are opening back up, but in 2020, you literally could not meet with someone in person. You could not do business in person. It was illegal to do business in person. So you had no choice but to do business online. So that positioned the digital marketers or the folks that run virtual companies much better. So now what we do is a lot more popular. It's a lot more needed. So you literally, I feel as though, honestly, if you're not doing business online, your business will not survive, in my opinion.
So you're perfect. So you're saying everybody need a sales funnel. I don't care who you are. Everybody.
If you need leads, only if you need leads and sales. If you don't need leads and sales, then maybe not,
But you said only if you need leads and sales. Okay. I think I get the point. All right. So tell me, what are the top 3 reasons why people struggle with their sales funnels, though? Like, why is this so hard?
I think a lot of people don't understand fully what a sales funnel is. So a sales funnel, and I think with a lot of the online jargon nowadays, people are misrepresenting what it is or confused on what it is. And it really has, little to do and initially with like online. It's your sales process in your business. So that can be in person, all the direct response marketers that used to do direct mail and stuff like that. So you have to understand the system that someone should go through. What's the first touch point? What's the first introduction, online or offline? Like, what should that first touch point be? Mm-hmm. How do you provide value up front? And then from there, like, what's the next step? How do you make someone want to do business with you? And once you understand that, then it's like, okay, well, how do we transition that online? What tools do we have to use? But I think, number one, people don't understand what it is. They don't understand direct response marketing. They don't look at their business from like a value ladder or ascension ladder perspective. And they also don't have. All
right. Hold on. You're starting to throw out terms I don't think people understand. So talk about what's the value ladder, Ryan. Come on, take my folks with you. What are you talking about?
So basically, I feel as though, you should have different touch points in your business and different amounts of value that you can give to someone. Take yourself, for instance. I know you have books. I know you do coaching, consulting, stuff like that, work with a lot of corporations, so you can give someone a lot of value from your book, but I feel as though, you can give them a lot more value if they're on a training with you or they sit with you in a workshop and stuff like that. And I feel as though businesses need to position themselves that way. It's like, hey, you got my book. Now, why don't you get my course? Why don't you get my training? Why don't you sit in a workshop with me? Why don't you work with me one-on-one? But of course, us as entrepreneurs, we have to charge more for that. Our time is very valuable. But a lot of us, I know initially for me, I didn't look at my business that way. I didn't look at different touch points and ascending people and providing more value.
So you're saying like sort of like the value ladder is really like the book and then the workbook and then maybe the mini course, and then maybe the higher level coaching program. So it's like all of your products. It's like the value stack almost. Is that what you're saying?
Kind of, but I think what a lot of people do is they think about price too much, and it's really about value. So once you assign the value, then it's like, okay, well, it makes sense that you would charge $100,000 or $20,000, whatever, for someone to work with you one-on-one, up close in person, because there's a lot of value. It makes sense that you may charge $25, $30, $40 for your book, because that's like kind of the amount of value. So I think some people think, well, it's 27, then we go to 47, 97, like 147. They think about it that way, but you really want to think about it from like a value perspective, and then like the price fits with the value.
So when someone thinks about like what they should prioritize, because whenever somebody says sales funnel with me, I immediately think email. Like I immediately think nurture sequences, email, that's what I think when you say sales funnel to me. So it's interesting that you're saying, no, you need to be thinking about it offline first and then take it online. So that's interesting to me. But when you think about the three things that you can prioritize, whether it is driving traffic, your sales systems, or your follow-up systems, how do you prioritize those three? Like what's most important? I feel like a lot of people might think it's driving traffic, but it sounds to me like you might not agree with that. So how should people prioritize if all these things are important? What do you got to do first, second, and third?
And like you said, they definitely all are important. So I would prioritize the actual funnel structure, your system, and then the traffic, and then like the follow-up automation. But to be honest, I mean, you definitely need all three. I think the first two, in my opinion, are most important, the traffic and the funnel system, because you could have a great funnel system, but online, if you don't have traffic, then not enough people are actually going to see it. And vice versa. If you have a great traffic, you have ads, you have great content, but at the same time, if someone engages with your content, or like in a Facebook ad, the Facebook ad job is to get people to your page. So if they get to your page and your page is not optimized to convert, or you don't have some type of lead catch or something like that, and of course the automated system, you're really just going to waste a lot of money on advertising.
Right. So if they were asking me for advice in this conversation, I would say sales system, follow-up system, drive traffic. That's how I would number it if it were me. But I'm interviewing you, so I won't get my 2 cents in that. All right. So now let's talk about the sales copy for your funnel, right? Because I think, I'm a writer. I've written books. I've written, 55,000, articles about how to start and grow. But I don't write my own sales copy because that's a completely different skill. But I was curious as to whether you thought that the average small business owner out here should try to write their own sales emails.
I definitely suggest you do get an expert that specializes in that to do that. Now, having said that, really good copywriters are really expensive. So I definitely think it depends on where you are at in your business. The reason why I got good at a lot of the stuff that I do is because I could not afford to pay anybody when I started initially. So, and also depending on what your skill set is as an entrepreneur. As an entrepreneur, you may be a good writer. You may not know direct response marketing. You may not be a quote unquote marketer, but you may be a good writer. So like I said, I really do suggest that you get an experienced writer, copywriter, someone that understands your customer and that type of stuff. But at the same time, they are very expensive. So if you have to start on your own, I don't think that's necessarily bad.
All right. So what are some of the best tools you like for people building sales systems in their business?
Well, I like the ClickFunnels type of platforms, Kartra, WordPress, that type of stuff. Shopify, great for e-com brands. So I think those are important. But I also, like I said, think that you really want to be clear on your business and like your system and see what tool works best for your business. Because I know a lot of people like myself, we subscribe to all these softwares. We got a million different things coming out of our account. And then we see that we may not need this or that, or we just have too much stuff. So I think you definitely need to be clear on the system first and then get a tool that works best for you.
I see. So if people are struggling with their sales funnel, though, how do they troubleshoot it?
Good question. It depends on really what part of the funnel, because there are so many parts. Like, is it the copy? Is it the headline? Is it the offer? Like, really depending on what it is. So I really am, big on split testing and just trying different things and like seeing like where the issue lies, because also the issue may be that you just don't have enough traffic. I think a lot of people that I've worked with, they may say like the system didn't work or the funnel didn't work, but they may not have actually drove enough traffic in it to actually really know if it works. So I think it really just depends on kind of like where it is, what you want to troubleshoot. And at the end of the day, if it's not converting, if people aren't spending money, then it may not even be the funnel, it may be your offer. So the greatest funnel is no substitute for product market does not fit.
So the issue could be you just got a bad offer.
Absolutely.
Or could it be your offer is too expensive? I mean, could it be the pricing is wrong? Or is it like the offer?
It could be the pricing, but it could be that, but like depending on the traffic. So if you have someone who's completely cold and you have a high price, well, you may need to actually warm them up. They may want to do business with you, but if you're selling someone something for $10,000 and they don't know you, you haven't built a relationship, you haven't nurtured them, then, it's not that they don't want to necessarily buy it. You have to build a know, like, and trust.
Got it. All right. Last question before we go to break. When you're just getting started with ads, what's the right platform? What's the right one to learn on?
I'm biased to Facebook, Instagram ads. So that's what I'm going to say, but there are many other platforms out there, but I would say Facebook, Instagram.
Okay, interesting that you put them together like they're a sandwich. Interesting. All right, you're watching Small Biz Chat Live. We're going to talk more with the Funnel Doctor about all this ads and stuff when we come back. I'm Melinda Emerson. Stay with us.
Hi, I'm Melinda Emerson, Small Biz Lady, and I'm known as America's #1 small business expert. I know a thing or two about how to run a successful business. I've been running my own for over 20 years, and I'm often asked, how do I actually become my own boss? It starts with knowing what you want and why. Then you need to figure out how you'll fund your dream business. Next, you must research your idea and make sure you understand everything that's involved. Next, you must determine your target customer, then complete your business plan. And finally, it's time to start your business as a side hustle first, if you can. I wrote my best-selling book, Become Your Own Boss in 12 Months, to give you a roadmap to business success. And over 100,000 people in multiple languages around the world have been helped by this book. And now, to support people affected by this pandemic, I'm giving away 1,000 copies of Become Your Own Boss in 12 Months for free. All you need to do is pay the shipping and handling fees. If you're ready to turn your calling into income, claim your free copy of my book today. Don't delay. This offer is only good while supplies last. Click the button below and get yours before they're all gone.
Hi, everybody. We're back now on Small Biz Chat Live. We're talking with Ryan McCrary, the Funnel Doctor, and he's going to tell us a little bit more about how to create a strong sales funnel. All right, Ryan, how long should an initial nurture sequence take for a sales funnel? 30 days, 60 days, 90 days? What is it? How should I design my initial email nurture sequences in a sales funnel?
I think it depends on the end goal. So definitely have to depend on what is the next step in your funnel. So generally, I would say 30 to 60 days. I'm big on kind of hitting them hard in the initial phase, like 7 to 10 emails up front. But like I said, I think it really depends on what the end goal is and what you're trying to offer on the back end. I always start with the end in mind, and I suggest everyone do the same thing.
All right. So I see a lot of people sometimes sell too quickly, or they sell people at the wrong stage of awareness. Do you see this issue common? I mean, one of the things that I find really interesting, like people will connect with me on LinkedIn and then like 2 seconds later, email me a pitch, and I don't know them from Adam's Alley Cat, right? And I'm like, dude, I'm going to figure out the unconnect button on LinkedIn because you've offended me that much with this ridiculous pitch. So, I mean, but people do that elsewhere online too, but that's like the most common egregious place I see it. So how have you seen that happen, with people selling at the wrong stage?
I've seen that all the time. And great marketers know we really don't have to sell. I feel as though when I get on sales call with someone, I don't have to sell. They're selling me on why I should work with them. So I think once you have the know, like, and trust, and also I think people want to see what your customers are saying about you, not just you. So I'm real big on that. We do a lot of testimonials and reviews and stuff like that. But I do feel as though people definitely try to monetize too early. I'm big on know, like, and trust. But like I said, all the great marketers, they know that I don't have to necessarily sell anyone on anything. I can provide enough value whereas though I know the problem that we solve. And we know there's a major problem, as we've been talking about, in the digital space of people not knowing how to navigate it or have a funnel and stuff like that. So when I get on a call with someone, I feel as though this is why we can solve your major problem. I don't have to sell you on anything.
Interesting. Okay. And then what kind of analytics tools should people be looking at to evaluate the success of their funnel? I mean, obviously sales is like the number one way to evaluate it, but what kind of other analytics markers should they be looking at when they're looking at the success of their sales funnels?
Definitely have a great CRM platform that's going to look at, of course, the page visits, the opt-in rates, the conversion rates, your upsell rates, and that type of stuff. I haven't really seen like a great all-in-one platform that I've seen that like does all that stuff. We do like a lot of Excel spreadsheets and that type of stuff. But like I said, you definitely want to look at opt-in rates, conversion rates, click-through rates, email open rates, email click rates, and also text message as well. I know we didn't talk about that a lot today, but I think text message is getting a lot more popular. The open rates and the click-through rates are a lot higher than email. We still love email. Email still works. Email's not dead. Don't let anyone tell you that. But I think that's another thing that's important as well that people don't talk about enough is the text marketing is getting more popular too.
All right. And then last thing, how do you determine if you don't have a strong enough offer? Like, I mean, because that's really hard. Is it just like no sales, must be a bad offer? Or do you think there's other things to look at before you look at your offer?
Number one, how many people have seen the offer? Okay. So I think that's one-on-one, like how many people have actually went to your page and actually seen it and have a substantial enough traffic to actually know if it's the offer or not. Now, if you've had the traffic, then it comes to, my opinion, is what type of traffic. Was it warm traffic, cold traffic, lukewarm traffic? And then from there, once you analyze these things, and then it's like, okay, now once we see that we have warm traffic, they know, like, and trust us, we have enough page visits. Now it's not converting. Now it may be the offer, it may be the price and stuff like that. And also, I think, how are you selling it? Because if you're selling something high price, rarely do people buy that just from like your sales page to a Facebook ad. You may need a conversation with them on the phone or in person. So it may be that they want to buy it, but it's just how you're selling it is not the right mechanism.
I see. All right. Well, listen, I'm going to leave it there, but don't go anywhere, Ryan. We're going to bring you back for our panel at the end of the show. But I really do appreciate how you've really given us all these nuggets to think about so we can all get better with our sales systems in our business. Now, when we come back, we're going to be talking about business innovation with one of the top experts in the country. I'm Melinda Emerson. You're watching Small Biz Chat Live, and we will be right back.
I just finished presenting to over 2,000 small business owners who jumped on my webinar on how to become your own boss in these uncertain times. I partner with top brands including Verizon, American Express, and Chase to educate small business owners across the country. In today's webinar, I taught my 6-step system to start a business. I also taught them how to establish a disaster-proof plan to turn their calling into income. We talked about how to find the people they want to serve online. I know how to help you make money as a boss. I've spent the last 12 years compiling exactly what it takes to become your own boss. I even broke it down into a 6-step system in my best-selling book, Become Your Own Boss. Over 100,000 people in multiple languages around the world have this book. And due to the pandemic, I know people need help. If you're ready to transition successfully from being an employee to becoming your own boss, listen carefully. I'm giving away 1,000 copies of my book, Become Your Own Boss, for free. All you need to do is pay for shipping. That's right, I'm giving away 1,000 copies. This book is going to show you how to become your own boss, create a pandemic-proof plan, and launch a successful business. Don't delay. This offer is only available while supplies last.
Welcome back to the Small Biz Chat podcast. I'm with my guest, Felecia Hatcher. Felecia is an innovation powerhouse. She is a personal transformation speaker, entrepreneur, author, and mother whose work shapes the way individuals show up, are valued, and financially benefit from playing full out in the innovation economy. Companies like Google, Spotify, DoorDash, Target, Samsung, and more hire Felecia to help them empower their teams to shape their inclusive innovation strategies. Felicia's been featured on the Today Show, MSNBC, Cushing Channel, Wall Street Journal, and she was a White House Champion for Change honoree. Felecia, welcome to the Small Biz Chat podcast.
Thank you for having me, Melinda. How are you?
Oh, I am good. I'm so happy. I mean, we've been trying to get you on this podcast for forever. So I'm so excited that you're finally here. So tell me about the circuitous route you took to become an entrepreneur.
I wish there was a straight line. There definitely was not one. I started my first business in college at 19 years old after winning $130,000 in scholarships and grants as a C student. My GPA never touched a 3.0, maybe on the way down, but definitely not on the way up. And after winning that kind of money, your parents do what parents do and tell all their church friends and every organization and sorority fraternity that they're a part of that they need to bring you in to give advice. And so I started doing that, and to the detriment of my grades again. And my mom, again, was just like, you need to turn this into a business. And I was just like, what are you talking about? And she's like, no, you need to be charging for this. And I could not fathom what that meant at the time, but I quickly had to learn, because it was either my grades were suffering, they'd want all this money to go to college, or I was going to figure this out as a business. And so my first business was an educational consulting business that got stolen by an employee that I hired, and I was devastated. And I say that because I had wrote off entrepreneurship, and I never wanted to be an entrepreneur again, if that's what it meant, that I would lose my contract to someone that I really trusted. And so my second real-time entree back into entrepreneurship was after working in corporate America, losing my job in 2008 during the economic downturn. And I literally fell into the food business in the form of falling down, chasing after an ice cream truck in heels. And that was my Oprah aha moment to launch a gourmet popsicle manufacturing company right before the gourmet food truck movement started. And so spent 7 years building that business, building a small ice pop empire with my husband, building it also at a time which was probably the worst time to start a business, which was in 2008. I just did not know any better. Plus, if I could have found a job in my field, I would have never started, probably not even been on this podcast, because it led me down the most interesting, the most wildest, the most successful and craziest journey of my entire life. That if you told me, at 18 years old that this was what my life was going to turn into, I would tell you were absolutely crazy. I would laugh in your face and I would absolutely walk away. And so major companies became our clients. We figured out a really unique niche in the gourmet popsicle manufacturing space, built out a manufacturing facility, took on VC funding. It was probably the hardest year of my life doing that as well. And then eventually sold the company. But in the interim of that, Whole Foods and PayPal and Airbnb and Forever 21 and Cadillac were all our clients. And we figured out this really unique niche to really turn popsicles into promotional items, because there was so much brandable real estate in our products. So from actually putting their rum into our products to building, creating pops that match the color of Google's logo, to being able to put Aveeno Lotion's logo on the sticker of the wrapper, to Tinder asking us to create aphrodisiac pops, had a lot of fun in the business, and also really interesting requests that I guess a lot of food businesses get. I don't know. but that was the business that I ran for 7 years. And then the work that I do right now is really about supporting entrepreneurs, specifically Black entrepreneurs and startup founders in the tech and innovation economy, realizing that the largest transfer of wealth in the Black community happened in 2008. And that's when our parents, our grandparents, and our great-grandparents lost their homes. And that's how they were looking to hold on and transfer wealth to us. And that was the largest transfer of Black wealth in my generation. And so I don't know anything else that can replace that fast enough than the tech industry. And so whether you work in tech and you're able to connect to a high wage job or an entry point into that, and at one point be able to invest in startups, or you are building a startup or building a tech-enabled company yourself, that is the fastest track that I've seen. And tech touches everything. And I think in a way that people did not realize that prior to 2020, they realized that because we got a wide awakening from our healthcare to the way that we all had to pivot in very smart ways to do business. At the end of the day, the work that I do is around ridding Black communities from being innovation deserts so that we are financial beneficiaries and active participants of the innovation economy.
So let's talk about that. So what do you think are the keys to startup success for the population that you serve? We know that there are keys to success that are different from other people that don't have all kinds of barriers thrown up in front of them. But what do you think are the keys to success for the Black entrepreneurs that you're trying to serve in the tech space?
Yeah, 3 quick ones. Capital. It is the thing that people like to dance around. They don't like to get directly to it, but no one can build a business without touching some sort of form of capital. And I would say not just capital, but the respectable amount of capital for Black businesses. And so we know Black businesses are usually underfunded and over-mentored. But even when they get the funding, it still does not equate to exactly what they need to build a business at scale. And so when you're talking about startups, you're looking for a business that can rapidly accelerate a repeatable model in 2 years or less. Small businesses are a little bit different. You're talking about a slower growth trajectory over time. And so if a business is supposed to play well within the innovation economy as a startup, we have to make sure that they have all the tools that they can succeed in order to rapidly increase what they're doing in 2 years. So there's that. I would also say hacking trust, because it's too often people do not trust Black entrepreneurs with money, or they do not trust them with the right access to the power circles that can quickly make the decisions of yes or no about that business. And then I would say the third thing is there's a lot that government can do in the form of, and corporations can do in the form of procurement opportunities. And so in a time where if we take VC and angel out of this, vendorization processes can be much more equitable in order to create opportunities for startup founders. You look at the government's SBIR grant and making sure that more Black entrepreneurs know that exists, and that's at least $75,000 just to iterate and to create an idea and then be able to iterate on that. That can be game changing for a small business. Local governments can shift their benefit agreements and what they're doing so that it really provides opportunities for tech entrepreneurs. I'm in Miami. We're literally in the middle of a tech wave because our mayor has put a billboard in Silicon Valley saying, "Come to Miami." And so a lot of people are coming here, but there's a lot of work that can be done. And so I would say those 3 areas, Melinda, are most important. And then I would say advisory boards. Being able to surround Black entrepreneurs with skilled mentorship, not just a mentor for mentorship's sake, but someone who's been there and done that before and really can advise them on the best next step to make, would be that 4th component in what I think can start turning the ship around of Black entrepreneurship.
So I want to switch gears on you a little bit because you wrote a book called Start a Business on a Ramen Noodle Budget. And so I'm assuming you didn't mean tech startups. I thought you meant like the rest of us, like the mom and pop businesses out here. I'm assuming that's who that advice was for. But I want you to explain this whole thing, because when I saw the title, I have to tell you, I hollered out loud because I was like, Oh, I mean, when I think about ramen noodle, I think about all of those broke days in college, like looking for change in my couch, like so that we could go buy something to eat. And ramen was definitely on the menu more than a few times. So tell me about how you came to write this book.
It literally came from that exact same thought process, right? And so it started off as a joke, thinking about back in the day in college, getting 30, I don't know if ramen's like 59 cents now, but it was like 20 or 39 cents back in the day. And if you had a little to work with, you could cut up some chicken, put some extra spices, throw some broccoli in it. Now you have technically a gourmet meal, right? Like we got ramen bars all over the United States that now do the same thing. And if you're feeling really fancy, you light a candle. So you've literally gone from like this 29 cents meal to arguably something that could be considered gourmet by just getting creative with limited resources. And so my whole premise of the book is if you can channel that same type of creativity that we did when we got creative with ramen noodles, a pack of ramen noodles, and added a little things, and you can do the same thing with a business. And like, as far as mindset is concerned about what's possible. And so when people don't have money to start a business, that does not mean that you don't have other things. That doesn't mean that you don't have a network that you can tap into. That doesn't mean that you can't comb through LinkedIn and pull together an expert and pretty expensive advisory board that you can sell on the vision that can now advise you and guide your business and consult your business oftentimes for free. And that doesn't mean that you can't create an MVP. And so if you want to start a brick and mortar school on a ramen noodle budget, I'm gonna tell you, this is not the book for you. But if you say, hey, I have a curriculum, I have an idea worth sharing, I have a process that works, well, hey, you can go on lynda.com, you can go on Udemy, you can go on Teachable, you can go on Kajabi, you can go on all these platforms that cost little to nothing in order for you to still educate people and monetize that. And then, hey, from there, you may see as you grow that I may not need to ever launch a brick and mortar location. I can stay in the digital space. And we've seen people like a Daniel Leslie and Dominique Broadway, and all these people have used those same type of platforms to build 8-figure businesses. Or you get to a point where you're generating enough revenue, you've proven your concept, and now you can invest in maybe renting a space. And we have a lot of underutilized space because of the pandemic. And so that's what I want people to be thinking about when you think about starting a business on a ramen noodle budget, is breaking it down into very small steps in which you can start today, but getting very creative in doing an asset assessment of what are the other resources that you have that you can leverage, whether that's social media, whether there's so many different platforms, whether it's leveraging Fiverr. Like, I think Fiverr is a gold mine for people launching businesses. I coach students oftentimes that come through our programs, and it's just like, you can literally go on Fiverr, find the top 10 services that are provided, find the top 10 high-rated people within those services, and put your business on top of that. And so if you now have someone that can deliver the goods, now all you got to do is work on business development and bring in the clients and outsource it to somebody on Fiverr. Like, you can build a 6-figure business literally doing that by somebody who can do this thing for $5, you charge $150, you have $145 in revenue to work with, you've serviced a client, you have someone that you've outsourced the process to. That is thinking on a ramen noodle budget.
Love it. Love it. So, digital marketing has really kind of leveled the playing field for a lot of entrepreneurs of color. Have you seen that benefit, or do you still see people really, really struggling sort of like with their digital pivot?
I think last year, more than anything, we've seen a lot of people have to adopt that in ways that they didn't even think that they needed to, right? And it was really interesting from someone who has been rallying for the past 7 years for people to use tech and understand tech and value it and understand how it's a utility for you to really grow your business and expand your presence. And so I kind of laughed in this way of like, I've told y'all, and now you're forced to be able to use it. And so one of the things that we saw last year is with our organization, we launched the COVID-19 Side Hustle Academy. Even for us as an organization, we were planning to do that in person for about 25 people. When COVID hit, we launched the program online using Teachable, and we had over 600 people across the nation be able to go through that training. And a lot of it was digital marketing. And so for us, it was just like, well, everyone was throwing around all the acronyms PPP and PPE. We're like, put your own, like create your own paycheck protection program, learn how to put your own oxygen mask on by learning how to utilize digital to grow your business. And I think just like Ryan said earlier, it's easier than ever before to start a business. More of this is mindset than it is not having the resources, but realizing that you have the tools available. And then ask questions, right? One of the best business advice that I got was the quality of your questions determine the quality of your life. And so, so many of us are just not asking the right type of questions. And it's so much easier to sit and be stagnant and be comforted in our excuses than it is to say, hey, let me ask the right type of questions around the people that are in front of me, at least to move me one step closer. Well, who can you introduce me to that can do this? That should provide so much insight into the next step. And then you ask that same person the next thing and the next thing. And before you know it, you're at the exact person that can provide the exact answer that you need. But many of us are too afraid to be vulnerable to say, I don't know. And I'm one of the first person to tell people, I don't know, but I can find the answer. Or can you help me find the answer? But I don't know everything, but I do know what my zone of genius is. And more than anything, I think more of us need to be aligning our zone of genius with digital marketing tools to catapult what we're trying to do.
I love that. I love so many things about what you said. Now, one of the other things that I read is that you believe that execution is personal. Yeah. And I want you to kind of break that down, because when I first read that, I was like, okay, what is she talking about? But I want you to explain it. I did read your explanation, but I want you to explain what it means.
Yeah, when the first chapter of my book is the top of it says ideas are worthless and execution is absolutely everything. And I believe that it has been the gut check of me in moments where I'm just like, well, have I done the work? No, I haven't. So why am I expecting results from work that I have not done? And so when I say execution is personal, it's really about like having levels to our why more than anything else, right? And not just the levels to our why or setting the goal, but like, well, how do we execute on those goals? And what is my personal commitment to achieving the goals that I want? I think so often we have been, whether it's trained, like, I don't know what it is. I don't know where it comes from exactly, Melinda, but it's very easy for us to pass the buck as to why the things that we want out of life have not happened for us. And so when I say execution is personal, it's literally just that. Like, what is your personal commitment to execution? What are the steps that you plan on taking? Have you gotten very granular in exactly what you want and what you want it to look like? I think a lot of us have either set goals, or I'm a big person on Gay Hendricks' book, The Big Leap, and talking about your zone of genius. And oftentimes we expect results from work that we have not done. But more importantly, like, we set goals that kind of sort of look like what we kind of sort of want it to be, but it's never quite it because we haven't defined what that is. And why I bring up zone of genius is like, once you realize what your secret sauce is, your gifts are, your goals, you have to give it a destination. Like, where do you want it to take you? What doors do you want it to open for you? What new conversations do you want to have? What new food do you want to have as a result of you working in your zone of genius? Like, we have to get that granular with our goals, because if not, it's not personal, it's external. We're doing these things for everyone else, but we're not doing it for ourselves. And as long as we keep passing the buck to everyone else, we do not move forward, and we don't have forward momentum. And so we have to give our goals, our gifts, our genius, a destination, tell it where to go, and then get to doing the work in order to be able to make that happen.
All right, we have just a few minutes left, but I do want to ask you, tell me about the Center for Black Innovation. I really kind of want to understand your master plan to rid the world of innovation deserts.
Yeah, so the goal for that, we rebranded our organization after 7 years to the Center for Black Innovation, to really better communicate what we've done as far as building goodness, it's Wednesday, I'm stumbling all over my words, to better build ecosystems that become a magnetic force for all the resources that businesses, particularly Black businesses and communities, need to thrive within the innovation economy. And so for us, it started off as a space, but really we want all Black communities to be known as innovation, centers for Black innovation. And so in order to do so, we have to rid those communities from being innovation deserts. And so it needs to happen from a number of standpoints, whether it's more asset-based research, right? Over the past year, everyone has talked about the 40% of Black businesses that have closed and will not reopen. Why aren't we talking about the 60% of Black businesses that did remain open? How did they do it? What lessons can we learn? Because success leaves clues. How do we better study those businesses so that we align the right type of resources? So if another global pandemic happens, we know how to better serve those 40% of businesses that open. And so part of the Center for Black Innovation is doing more asset-based research around Black communities, Black entrepreneurship, startup, pockets of Black wealth that creates around not all Black people are broke. And we have enough that can invest in businesses, but we don't value the dollar enough to aggregate all of those dollars to start investing in our businesses the right way. And so one part is that. The other part is building better accelerators for our businesses to be able to succeed and rapidly grow in a short period of time. We have a venture studio that's a part of that as well, that actually builds out the technology solutions for those startups too. And then more so, it's a space as well that needs to exist in all of our communities. And so working with government officials across the United States to look at underutilized space to be able to turn into better co-working and urban innovation centers is also a big part of the work that we do. And then access to capital. And so we have an angel investor accreditation program specifically to help people that, we have pockets of wealth in the healthcare industry, in the legal industry as well, where Black people have jobs that pay $200,000 to $300,000. Well, they can become accredited angel investors. But what is the vehicle in order to allow them to do so? And then how do we build community so that they can start investing and de-risk investment so that they can start making better investments into Black entrepreneurship and startup founders? And so all of those programs exist within the Center for Black Innovation with a strong and mighty team. But our real goal is to really be able to create wealth, but real wealth pathways using technology to be able to fuel that and then also fund that.
I love it. I love it. All right. Last question. What is the best business advice you've ever gotten?
Best business advice is probably closed mouths don't get fed. There's a lot that has been thrown at me.
I think your mama told you that, though. I don't know if that's business advice. That sounds like mama them advice. So, but anyway, hang on, Felecia. We're going to bring back my other two guests, and we're going to do a quick panel that we call Hit It and Quit It. So I want to invite Eric Brown to come on back, Ryan McCrary to come on back, and I want all three of you guys to talk to me, because what we're going to do now is I'm going to ask one question and each of you are going to have to answer it. You can only take 30 seconds to answer, but you also cannot repeat somebody else's answer. So if somebody takes your answer, you better come up with something else or you're going to get the cowbell. All right. I don't want to get the cowbell on any of you guys. So Eric, you've been on ice the longest, so I'm going to come to you first. Then I'm going to come to you, Ryan, and then I'm going to go to you, Felecia, and then we're going to flip it around. All right? So first question, Eric Brown, what is your favorite podcast? What is your favorite podcast?
Gary V.
Gary V. All right. All right. Ryan, what about you? What's your favorite podcast?
Yours. Marketing Secrets.
Who is it by again?
I said besides yours.
Oh, besides mine. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't hear what you said. Besides mine.
Okay. Marketing Secrets is Russell Brunson.
Got it. Got it. All right, Felecia, what's your favorite podcast?
It's a tie right now between How I Built This, which I love, but Dave Chappelle's The Midnight Miracle is my jam right now. And so it has to be a tie. I can't choose between the two.
It's like Sophie's Choice, right? Okay, so, all right, Ryan, I'm going to start with you this time. Then I'm going to go to you, Felecia, and then I'm going to go to you, Eric, last. What is your favorite business app? Favorite business app? Teamwork. Okay, I actually use that one. Felecia, what's your favorite business app?
Slack right now.
Slack? Okay, that's another good one. All right, Eric, what's your favorite business app?
Vecita. It's a CRM tool.
Say it again.
Vecita.
Vecita.
Vita.
Okay, I couldn't hear if it was a V or not, so it's Vita. I haven't heard of that one. I got to look it up. All right. Next question, I'm going to come, Felecia, to you first, Eric to you second, and Ryan to you last. What is your favorite old school marketing tip? Old school marketing tip.
Word of mouth.
Word of mouth referrals. That's very good. Word of mouth referrals. I'll take that. All right. Eric, what do you got for me? Favorite old school marketing tip?
Answer the phone.
That's true. Nobody does that anymore. Answer the phone. Okay. Another good one. Ryan, what about you? Favorite old school marketing tip?
Go out and meet someone in person. I'm big on that, even though I'm not that old, but I'm still big on just in person, and COVID was hard for me.
Yeah.
You mean if you've been vaccinated, though, right?
You know I have.
I know, right? I saw you at the vaccine clinic. I know you've been vaccinated. All right. So, all right. And last question. I'm going to come to you, Eric, first. I'm going to go to you, Ryan, second, and you, Felecia, third. What is the best business book you've ever read? Best business book ever read.
Napoleon Hill, The Law of Success.
All right. Very good one. Very good one. All right. Ryan, favorite book?
80-20 sales and marketing. Because once I learned the Pareto principle, that changed my business tremendously.
That was a good book. All right, Felecia, what's your favorite business book?
I have many, but I'm going to say The Alchemist, which is not really a business book, but my boss gave it to me and it made me quit my job and start my business. And so that is my favorite business book. She should have never gave that book to me as a gift on my first day. But when I read it, I quit the job.
You said, I'm out. Thank you for giving me the roadmap to leave here. Well, listen, I have enjoyed the three of you so very much. Thank you so much to my guests, author and serial entrepreneur, Eric Brown, Ryan McCrary, yourfunnelDoctor.com. And thank you so much, Felecia Hatcher, CEO of the Center for Black Innovation in Miami, Florida. Thank you all for joining me for this episode of the Small Biz Chat podcast. If you want more information about how to start and grow a business, head over to Small Biz Lady University. I'm sure I got a course over there that can hook you up and get you where you want to go. Thank you all so much. The mission of Small Biz Chat is to end small business failure. I'm Melinda Emerson, the Small Biz Lady, and I want to leave you with this. You never lose in business. Either you win or you learn. God bless everybody. Good night.